Since the point's first discovery in 1929, Clovis has sparked theory, controversy, and downright ugliness among academics and enthusiasts about both the origins and the use of this enigmatic tool. In the last 100 years, archaeology has come very far from first thinking that people only inhabited North America for the last 2,000 or 3,000 years. The discovery of Clovis then pushed that date back to 13,000 years ago and began the Clovis first model. As more work progressed, archaeologists soon discovered that people have been in North and South America for thousands of years before Clovis occupation. Archaeologists have done tremendous work in determining the ages, regions, and migration patterns of early Paleolithic people. Ryan Gill and his associates at HuntPrimitive specialize in building prehistoric tools, hunting with them, and butchering and processing with the contextual tools of the era. And it is through the eyes of Stone Age building, hunting, and butchering that we can begin to unlock the mysteries surrounding Clovis. Clovis is so much more than just simply a point type. The entire Clovis complex encompasses a wide array of tools made out of stone, but also bone, antler, ivory, and then most certainly wood and plant materials that have long since been degraded. This video is essentially a refined version of our first Hunting with Clovis documentary, and if you've not seen that first documentary, then I highly suggest going and watching that one first and then returning to this video, because the original documentary is going to teach you a tremendous amount about Clovis and Clovis toolkits, and you will need that information to be able to fully take what you can from this refined project. And in addition to the first Clovis documentary, we also have an entire portfolio of Clovis videos to teach you all the little individual aspects of the Clovis toolkit. And so you can find those deep dive videos at HuntPrimitive.com or on YouTube by searching HuntPrimitive Clovis Playlist. Those little individual videos within our Clovis portfolio will cover subjects like hafting Clovis and fluting Clovis, bibeveled rods, and bone, antler, and ivory projectile points, things like that. So make sure you check that link out down in the description or at huntprimitive.com. If you're familiar with my work, then you may also be familiar with my book, The Secrets and Science of Primitive Archery, which is an intensive breakdown of contextual pre-Columbian primitive archery and hunting. And while this book does not include Clovis, Atlatl, or Paleolithic style of hunting and tools, it's a great time to tell you to keep your eyes open in the next coming months for the next book, which will be The Secrets and Science of the Atlatl, which will also cover not only Clovis, but other Paleolithic through archaic projectile types. In the first Clovis documentary, we used very large hardwood spears. We really hope to show either a proof in concept for or against using essentially javelin-sized spears thrown from the Atlatl. And while we had a lot of gains in kinetic energy and momentum, we had a lot of losses in penetration due to the kinetic friction. So for this hunt, we decided to go back to the thinner and lighter spear shafts that we already know work very well from our very first bison hunt. Decreasing friction with very thin, either lap jointed or cane socketed foreshafts promotes much better penetration into large, robust animals. These same river cane spears that we are using proved to be exceptionally efficient on the first bison hunt in Missouri a few years ago, yielding 17 inches of penetration with one spear and 17.5 inches of penetration on the other. We found it very anthropologically important to allow people to choose not only the tools that they're going to use in the butchering process, but before the hunt even started, allowing them to choose what materials they would like to use for their spear shafts. Everyone in the hunting party, without a doubt, chose river cane as their spear shaft material. And simply because we wanted a little bit more hardwood spear data, I asked Jason if he wouldn't mind continuing to throw the hardwood spear. So he's the only one using hardwood, but he even said himself that he would much prefer to throw river cane because it is vastly superior to hardwood spear shafts. River cane is essentially just a North American native bamboo. And river cane's probably not something that a lot of people think about when they're imagining Ice Age Pleistocene hunters. And certainly there were a lot of hardwood spears that would have been used, especially out west or in the far north where river cane did not exist. But if we take a range map of river cane where it exists today, then if we have an understanding that in the end of the Pleistocene, where the temperatures are much cooler, the current modern day temperature of, say, Florida would be more comparable to modern day Tennessee or North Carolina. So if river cane today grows as far north as northern Kentucky, maybe into southern Ohio, and even a little bit into Maryland, then during the Pleistocene we can push that range down to probably North Georgia into the middle Tennessee area. If we overlay a Clovis distribution heat map over top of our river cane range map, you will easily see that Clovis people really lived in the heartland of river cane. And then just for fun, we can also use a Pleistocene bison range map and overlay on there as well. And you'll easily be able to see that this is a scene that was likely played out time and time again, hunting bison in the southeast with Clovis with river cane shafts. Because if our hunters today vastly prefer river cane for their Atlatl spear shafts, then there is a very good chance that Pleistocene hunters also preferred this superior material. In just a moment, we're going to transition into our hunt, but before we do, it's really important that I make mention that this time we are specifically targeting a very large bull. As you'll hear during the butchering process, we discuss that early people most likely didn't specifically target the big bulls because the big bulls really aren't going to be as good to eat. Also, they're significantly more dangerous and tougher to kill overall. However, Pleistocene bison were larger than modern day bison, and so the size of a modern day big bull was realistically probably the size of the average cow bison in the Pleistocene. So we want to get as much penetrative data as we possibly can, so therefore we are specifically targeting the biggest animal that we can possibly target short of an elephant.
Yeah, we definitely want to be more careful with this bison because it did kill one of our other bison. We found it with a big hole in his side.
And yeah. Don't take this one lightly then?
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna feeder trough up there on the top corner. There was like a trough on the ground.
Yeah, that's over.
Yeah, it's over in that corner up there. That's where I'm going. And then that way, because I'm gonna be on that. I'm gonna be on this side as like 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9, and 3. I'm gonna be on the 3 o'clock the whole time. So. Okay. It's like ready to sandwich.
Is Tristan still back in there? Oh, there they are. There they are. Holy shit, it's big. Oh my god.
Where's Ryan?
He must be up in here.
I hope so. We need to scare him out of there, get a shot.
There's a trail right here.
I don't want to go in there because if they come busting out because he scares them, I want to be out here for a shot.
Right here, right here. And that's the last we saw of this bison for the next 2 days. They seem to just disappear into the brush. At one point we did bump into this old cow, and I don't know that we really got a solid opportunity on her, but we made a decision to hold off and see if we can't get the big bull.
She ain't playing, man. She ain't playing.
It's the same cow.
Yeah, she doesn't want us following her.
She's not happy. It's the cow.
The big one already went across the road, man.
Really?
Let's let this one go back that way.
Okay.
We've kept it no secret that a hunt like this has to take place in a high fence hunting ranch. If we could just wander out into the wild and hunt free range bison, we absolutely would. But the fact is, this is the only legal place that we are allowed to hunt bison with Atlatls. As hunters, we hate to see things like feed troughs or tree stands and certainly high fences in hunting scenarios. And I specifically told the crew that we would not take any opportunities on bison where a fence could be visible. But as we entered the last morning of the hunt, I told the guys, I said, if you get an opportunity on the bull and the fence is in the background, we're just gonna have to take it. Otherwise, we're just simply not going to get him. But we kept hunting, we kept covering ground, and eventually our opportunity would come again. The next morning, I found big bison tracks and I tracked it down into a swamp. I was able to get out before the bison saw me. We formed a plan and we surrounded it. And we know how spooky these bison are, and if we're gonna get an opportunity on this bull, it's gonna have to be right now, and we're gonna have to take it. I stayed up the middle where I was. Jason went around to the left, and Sam and Tristan went around to the right. I kept an eye on it, and I was able to watch it firsthand, but Jason couldn't see the bison, and when he came around the corner, the bull was standing there about 5 yards away. But when it saw Jason, it spooked and started running right up a fence line, right past Sam and Tristan.
I can't throw it.
She got that. Oh, he's going down, man.
almost did.
You gotta be kidding.
He ran past it like 3 yards.
You did that,
It
man.
was insane.
Give him.
We threw a couple more in him, but not any good. Got a couple in the bag.
Down.
It's the bull, huh?
Oh yeah, it's the bull.
Man, congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Tristan, you did it?
I'm so glad I went back.
Hey, Bonnie.
I've been around this thing all this
thought-
long. I've mentioned over there going, we may get the fence in the camera,
Yeah.
which I hate, but that doesn't change
But he
the fact that
moved.
he's got every bit of direction
It was
he
just
wants.
all of a sudden, like we had to just tuck in the bushes and the fence was just right in the shot. So.
It just collapsed at the
Yeah, mine. They came running down this lane just right at us. They hadn't seen us yet, so we quickly tucked into the brush line, and we only got off the lane like maybe 2 or 3 yards, and we were tucked in for maybe 30 seconds, and he comes around the corner. He sees me out of the corner of his eye and just goes into a full gallop, and I get a quartering away, throw it like 8 yards. It was so awesome.
and good penetration, right?
Yeah, about 15 inches of penetration, I would say.
It probably didn't even break the point. Didn't even break the point. So,
that's
yeah,
the
you got up to about here.
So
That's
only
not what
about,
you had for
only
penetration
about
last time.
fif-
That's
only
still
about
pretty good
15
penetration.
Only
Yeah.
about 15 inches.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yep. That was one of your ones that has a little better
Yeah.
transition. So that's good. There's some blood for you. There's your spear, man.
All right.
There's your spear, man. Spear, man. Cherish that one.
That was
What number is that one?
Let's see.
17.
So we can get the
17.
number.
Yep, it is.
17.
Good deal.
Yeah, that blood is a great indicator of that depth right there, so you don't have to measure it.
Yeah.
Just measure the spear.
That's in a bad place right there.
Yeah. So yeah, rib cage is back to here. And normally, yeah, if you'd hit it here and it was broadside, it probably wouldn't have been so good. I mean,
Maybe lung.
yeah, high liver. I don't know if they go back there. It might. But either way, he angled it up in and he got about that much penetration. That put it in. That got both lungs without it. I had to bring it down that fast.
Yeah, yeah.
So one shot quartering away on a run, and he got about that much in it. So that was, I mean, he put it through it. He's a good hard thrower for such a little legend. Yep, that is great. That is a big old bull. As you can see, just one of these penetrated up into about here was enough to bring down, I mean, a heck of a big bull. And you don't need these great big points. They don't penetrate that good. And that's exactly what you would want to be using on a mammoth or a mastodon as well. And sometimes what you'll find is they're even a little bit more narrow as well. But this is right in that same exact size range. And I mean, if it's able to bring this guy down with one, you put a couple of these, you penetrate that far into a mammoth, get between ribs, and you'll flatten lungs on one side, you flatten it on the other. I have zero doubt that you can kill mammoth with it. Now, we didn't have to go through thick hide on this one, but or thick hair, but I did go through thick hair on the one that I killed in Missouri in the wintertime. That was very thick and woolly, really, really thick. And also these small points slide right through that hair as well. So I have no doubts that we could kill elephants with this stuff. Plus, remember also that not all mammoths and stuff were woolly. Colombian mammoths down here where we live, and especially in the southeast, which were the biggest mammoths, were the Colombians. This is really what they looked like. They weren't big and full of hair. They were mostly skin like elephants today, with just a little bit of light hair like this. So I have no doubts. All these knuckleheads that think that you can't kill proboscideans with Clovis points, I'd challenge that every day. Put us in front of an elephant, this tribe, short of getting killed, we'll kill it. A lot of pictures like here around its head, and oh, get your the spear that killed it.
Okay.
And I want to put it up next to that hole.
There too.
Yeah.
We should let Tris get behind it with his thrower and spear
Yeah.
and get like a trophy shot.
Absolutely.
I'll grab his thrower.
Here, let me turn the point so you can see the point.
Get one like right here, as he's looking that way.
Hang on.
Look at Jim's camera a second.
Now we're going to move into the butchering and tool use, but before we started breaking this bison down, we did some tests with some ivory points. But rather than cover that full test in this video, we actually have yet another video to add to our Clovis collection. We'll make sure that we drop a link and have those files available so you can watch the tests with the osseous and ivory points and how they penetrate on big game. And I do think that that's something that you're going to be very interested in checking out. So make sure that after this film, you come back, check all the stuff down in the description so you can check out all the other Clovis videos that we have to offer. In the first Clovis documentary, we gave all the tribe members specific tools to work with. So we were testing out a lot of different theories within the Clovis toolkit. There's been a lot of, let's call it, really fantastic ideas of how these tools were actually used, even down to looking at really small little Clovis points like this and thinking that they're knives, or different methods of hafting blades. Blade core, of course, is very important to Clovis technology. And in the first documentary, you'll see that we test a lot of tools and a lot of theories to exhaustion.
We're gonna have to catch up from the other side whenever we flip.
Well, already here.
Already
here we are.
That's it. So it's just not meant for side to side.
Yeah,
it's meant for penetration.
Meant for penetration.
Yep. All right, stick it in the used pile.
This time around, we let everybody choose the tools that they wanted to use. So we omitted everything that didn't work within the first documentary, and everybody got to choose exactly what they wanted to use to butcher the bison with. And you'll find that we exclusively used small flakes, small blade core flakes for initial incision pretty much only. And that's because they're a little bit more disposable. So when you deplete the edge on the hair, you can throw them on the ground or save them to rework later, but then you can move on into either blade core hafted knives or into Clovis preform hafted knives.
All right, we're going to use the incision flakes first because even though there's not a lot of hair on here, you got hide and hair, all of that depletes the edge. So if we use the hafted knives first, all that work that we did to haft, we're going to deplete the edge really quickly. So we don't need to do that. That we can just use these shorter flakes, the ones that didn't make the cut for the knives that we're actually using. As soon as we get all the incisions made, we're going to switch over to stuff that's a lot more efficient, the hafted knives, and we got the two different styles. Yeah, he's gone. We got the two different styles. So we got the blade core knife. These are the nice blades that we make, and then they're set in with pine pitch, and then this is the traditional, like a Clovis preform sort of knife, so it's not a fully made Clovis point for penetration. You're going to use it as a knife blade, and as it gets worn down, then that's when you're going to be able to rework this stone, possibly flute it again, you know, that whole process. Different story for a different day, but they both serve really good purposes. We've cleaned bison pretty much with nothing but these, but we also found that on the last one, that these work really, really well, and we're not doing any experimental work this time. This is expounding on the work we did last time, where we're like, let's test all of these tools out. We know what works the best, and everybody can pick whatever tools they want. We've got a nice little blanket of tools set out that are pre-made, so we're just going to get to work. So that's actually thicker hide than last time. That's really thick hide. You know what? Hand me a hafted knife.
Yeah.
Push hard.
I come on too.
Yeah, go get a hafted.
Don't deplete your blade core knives yet on it. I wouldn't want to deplete those edges. Use the hafted knife because you can rip through it.
Yeah.
Like the bifacial one, not those ones. Because you're going to deplete your edges on those. And we only have so many. So if you use these, you can really bear down on them. And they're faster to resharpen.
Okay.
So these are, yeah, we're just chipping new edges. Those ones, the whole blade's new.
Oh, that's much better right there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep, there you go. So even the incision flakes at this point are like, yeah, I'm not that interested. I mean, I'll tell you what, this hind quarter is, the skin over here is thick.
Same here.
Yeah, those are nice.
We need to kill some young ones next time because this big old stuff is kind of sucking.
When they get this part up here.
Yep.
Is he old, you think?
Well, he's pretty old. He's not super old, but I mean, he's a big mature bull. I mean,
Ryan, we want to split the breast bone up to there, or the hide.
yeah, I mean, ideally, we're killing a big one because we want we want to take down a big animal and kind of show what the stuff is capable of. But early hunters hunting for meat, they're not going to be looking for something like this. They're looking for the young ones that are easier to work, meat's better, and but this is also the closest thing that we've got to a Bison Anticus, because that was much bigger. And a bull like a bison, that's the name of this, the later bison. A bull this size is probably the size of your average cow Bison Anticus, and they would have been targeting cows and calves primarily, and then if they needed to take a bull they would. But why would you go after something that's a lot bigger, meaner, the meat's not as good? Much rather go after the little tasty guys. And so even if this was a cow Bison Anticus, you can see not a problem, you can still kill it. I do need a shoulder blade off this thing.
Okay, like the bone?
Yeah. So once we peel the meat off, I just at least
Should I go down around here?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That'd be good.
Using that data or penetration?
Yeah, use it as a cutting board.
Oh, nice.
There's a site in Siberia that they're working on. I've had somebody reach out to me, a university there.
Oh, here's the tendon.
And they found a scapula, like pieces of a scapula with a lot of cut marks on it. And they're like, we think it's a cutting board. And they were like, hey, what do you think about that? And I was like,
You want me to come down through this seam
absolutely.
here?
And it makes a
Yeah,
great
that'd
cutting
be
board.
good. We can get a
So if we were going to sit here and
chunk
eat
here.
this,
We need something to put it on.
yeah, we could sit and cut meat off that. But right now, we're just going to get hot, so we're going to get this thing taken care of.
Well, and that's how they would have preserved their meat, so it would last.
You wanna hold that?
They'd
I'll
have
get
to
this.
cut it up.
More of a... Having people that really know what they're doing is important. That's like the whole do it one time thing is great. It's a great experience. But this is why we all, like the same people, we just try to keep this all together, because not only do we hunt in unison, but we butcher in unison. And everybody trusts everybody. I know that Jason's not going to cut me, and if he does, he wasn't being wild. He's just doing the job, and accidents can happen, but you get with people you're not really familiar with, and you get a little worrisome because that trust isn't built. And that's the same thing with the hunting too. You want to make sure you're hunting with people that you really trust. Because if this thing would have been on top of somebody, trampling them and goring them, are you going to turn and you're going to run away? Or are you going to run in and you're going to start throwing spears into this thing? And that's a really important point.
Since you're keeping it anyways, might as well just put the meat on.
Yep, that's fine. That's the side that's the cutting board.
Put
anyway.
a hole in it for you, bud.
Yeah. Oh, good. Good. It's a drain hole. Yeah. Break one loose.
No, well, I did earlier. I broke a flake loose off a couple knives.
Here's an important point if you're filming. You know, everything that we're putting together here too, that it's real pine pitch glue and it's real sinew. So none of the fake stuff. We're not using epoxy or artificial sinew or anything like that. It's all real stuff. And you know, when you cut these in too, you don't just hog them out. If you really want a good secure fit, you know, you actually cut this stuff with stone tools and you make it fit. You can see how tight of a fit we have, and then it sits in there kind of tight as it is, and then you glue it and then wrap it and shrink that sinew on, and then you can basically, once you cover it with like a little bit of grease, that grease stays on the outside and stuff slips off of it, and so this way it doesn't soften the sinew. And so one of the important things is you're not holding it like this working, you choke up on it and you support some of the haft, especially on the backside. That's why you dull up to the cutting edges. And when you're done, you can see I get some little cuts here because that last little burr, it gets you.
You want me
But
to switch? Okay. Is that good?
Pull right here.
when you use these real natural materials, you learn you don't use it like this, like a modern day knife. You give some support and then it takes with finesse. The more you go hacking with this thing, you're not only dulling the edge, but you're going to compromise that haft. So you just have to learn to use the stone tool, and if you learn to use it with finesse, it'll last throughout the entire job. And then if we need to step back and just sharpen it a little bit, that's fine too. But when you use the natural materials, it teaches you to use the knife properly as well. And when you learn to use the knife properly, you learn to use it more efficiently.
About ready to flip this thing.
The next one we don't need to disarticulate like this. It's unnecessary.
Well, we're
already almost here.
So. Now and then flip it.
What's that?
Yeah,
You want to come down along the rib cage and pull the guts now and then flip it, or what? It's getting hot. I'd say like cut the rib cage, get the guts out.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
You know.
Doesn't matter to me. The order of operations.
Give me the word, Jason, and I'll start
Yeah, we'll just come on along that.
There's no
Come on, skin it down just a little bit further.
Yeah, and then we'll follow that rib cage down. We'll drag them guts out and get them away from it, and then we can flip. It'll be lighter to flip anyway.
Yeah, man.
What shocked me was them skipping.
You know, anthropologically speaking, the age that people live to, Sam and Tristan are at that real prime age. So it's like I've got a lot of the experience, but I'll be 40 this year, which in today's age is fine. That's not a big deal. But back then, I would either be close to dead or retired or whatever. But these guys would be doing the hunt anyway, so I'd be coming in as support, and that's really the role that I'm taking anyway. You know, and then Jason here, I mean, he's pretty much be dead.
Yeah, dead.
So he's going to be 50 this year, right?
Yeah, almost 50. 40.
Yeah, so he's almost 50. And so yeah, he would be either long since dead or long since retired. And you know, we're still out here doing this today, but you know, Tristan here, young 20s, Sam, mid to late 20s, Carly's mid 20s, give or take. So it's like that's really the people that are going to be coming and doing this kind of work anyway. So for somebody Tristan's age, 21, 22, then not only is he that prime age to doing it because of his fitness, but by this age, realistically, him and Sam at this age, especially Sam, would be like the top experts for their age. Guys like me wouldn't even be coming along anymore.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey,
So I've been.
Good my.
Come over on this side and
cut
pick it up,
down.
and then I help
Straight.
You pull it up.
doesn't fall in the dirt.
Yep.
There you go. Yep.
You don't even have to worry about it. You'll just have to cut this off, I guess, when we pull.
Would have to look like for one bison, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, I got four.
numerically speaking.
I got 4 of these bifacials, and then I brought 10 of the blade core knives, and then a handful, maybe somewhere between 10 and 15 individual flakes, which we haven't used all of those.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, if we had somebody set up on the side with a fire that was replacing blade knives, that would be, you know, or blades within the knives, that would be fine.
Yeah.
I think they're all important, but I keep going back to these bifacials because they just take a lot of abuse.
Yeah. And they're quick to resharpen too.
Oh yeah, I think that's the key. But again, if we had somebody that was just sharpening or replacing blades on blade core, I think that would be fine too. And I've done 56 just with stone tools, not stone tools, just with primitive stuff, not including all the stuff in my youth. But there you go, inner loin, blind side. I've got a lot of practice. All right.
And yet so humble while doing it.
So humble.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, he didn't even mention.
Did I not
That's such an attractive quality.
do that blind? Wasn't it great? So this is the only blade core knife that came apart, and so you can see there's a channel cut in here, and the blade sits down in it. Well, it sat out in the sun, just direct sunlight, long enough that the pitch softened, and even without a fire, if it's warm, but of course you just take a fire in general and heat it up, and you can literally just squish this and work it back and forth because the pitch is soft, and you can let that dry and it'll reseat that whole blade. Like, you can use it right now, but then set it in the shade, let it cool down, and you'll be able to use it again.
So again, without a doubt, this was a much more refined version of the Clovis processing compared to the first Clovis documentary. And even a bull this size, we were able to completely debone all the meat and disarticulate the joints within about 2 hours of time, making it a really efficient process with the tools from the Clovis assemblage.
Guys settle down.
Yeah, do it for Jim first.
Thanks again for following along with our Clovis adventure. And don't forget to check down in the description as well as on the website for links to our other videos for our Clovis playlist. There's a lot of different rabbit holes to run down when it comes to Clovis. All the different components that you can check out and research if you're interested in checking all that stuff out. And until then, we'll catch you on the next adventure.